Everyone, and welcome to Be My Guest with me, Mary Honan, on Lear Media TV, supporting the Samaritans, Limerick and Tipperary. And my lovely guest today is Jason Carmody from Limerick. But Jason has been really good to me in the last couple of days, putting together a thing for me for a project I was doing, and I was pretty frantic, and I put it up on Facebook if anyone knew how to do this, a Gantt chart, and Jason came to the rescue. Jason, hello, how are you?
I'm good, Mary, and yourself?
Sure, I'm grand, but jeepers, I mean, Facebook has really good qualities, hasn't it?
It does, especially in them kind of situations. I've often reached out myself to people, trying to figure out certain stuff. But it just happens that I do a lot of project work, and I've used Gantt charts quite a lot. So in that instance, I could help you straight away, And I think we were up till about 2 a.m. one morning.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, and the funny thing was, it was one take. And you sent it to me, and nobody said that there needed to be anything. I think they just needed to see that you made that you made a stab at it. It was a scholarship I was applying for, and they just ask you to do a Gantt chart. I don't think they really expect you to have it completely finalized, and that just to show that you have an idea, that you're thinking through the project. So it was great, Jason. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. I like helping people as much as I can. That's kind of the way I am,
The Irish dancing world is great, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Of course, it's my second love. My family's my first love, obviously.
Yeah, hence the photographs. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Patricia, my wife there, obviously, and all my kids. So I have 5 children, Caitlin, Molly-Ann, Tiernan and Ava, and baby Samantha. So she's
babies are always the photograph stealer, aren't they?
Yeah, she brightens up my days quite a lot, She's a little runner.
What did you call her?
Samantha, yeah.
Where are you living, Jason?
We're now living in Newcastle West, so
lovely out there. I recognised that's Newcastle West, isn't it?
It is indeed.
The river as you go over to the credit union.
Correct, yeah, exactly. So that was kind of a photo op for our photographer, and we had a beautiful day. It wasn't too warm, wasn't too cold. It was gorgeous. So we got some beautiful photographs. And yeah, so basically Newcastle West, it's right between Kerry and Limerick, obviously, and it's useful. We're right in the middle of Munster, so it's handy. Obviously, with our business being run, it's right in the middle of the Munster area, so it's handy for people to get to.
Jason, I do feel sorry for your son, I have to say, with all the girls, all the sisters, and he seems to be a little character.
Oh, he's definitely a character. He has his good days and bad days. I suppose living with how many? 1, 2, 3, 4
girls.
4 girls and
Patricia 5.
Yeah, but he has me, sure.
He has you. But it can't be easy. 5 sisters.
It can't be easy for him now, I have to say. Even though now I had 5 brothers and 2 sisters when I grew up, so it was possibly a little bit the other way around. But we always managed well, and got through life and got good education, and it was all down to my parents as well. So I'm trying to do the same thing for my kids now.
Our parents most parents, aren't they great,
Oh, brilliant. Sure, my parents, what they've done for me, over the years, put me through college, that was the biggest thing, The cost of that alone.
What did you study, Jason?
I studied electronic and telecommunications engineering, and partially IT involved in it. And over the years then, I worked in various companies. I was a contractor for many years, and I contracted mainly Ireland, UK, and America mainly. But I've gone out of the contract scene the last maybe last year, because obviously with the new business and with family, I decided, and this age of my life, I wanted to be close to home. So Yeah, I have a full-time job, which is only 3 minutes down the road from home here. So
As well as the business.
as well as the business, yeah. But I suppose Patricia, we've good helpers in the business. We've two ladies that help us, and Patricia, during the busy times there, we call in the ladies to help us. We had a lady working all through the night there for the last month because we were so busy. It's got quiet the last week, but that's expected.
Really?
Yeah. We were
Wow.
up the walls. We were up the walls with requests for dresses. So
In the last, recently?
yeah, from the Southern Region of Oireachtas, the SRO, in the US. So we sold about, I'd say,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, we sold about 40 dresses or so, because we have a lot of administration. If you sell a dress to the US, then you have all the shipping that has to be done. You have to do the customs clearance. All that has to be done. So there's quite a bit of work involved in selling one dress,
And you deal with all the technological side of it.
I do. So I do. Yes, I do. So I do all the financial side of it. I look after most of the IT. We launched our new website only last weekend. We have another website that I'm working on at the moment, ready to be launched, but that'll be launched in the new year. And I have a few other ideas.
What's your website called, or what's the address?
It's www.irishdance-to-impress.com.
All together. Irish Dance Dress to Impress.
.com.
That's easy to remember.
It is, yeah. It's kind of we had many names chosen, and we ended up changing the name probably twice, and we ended up picking this one.
It happens, doesn't it? We did the same with ours is www.lirmedia.com.
Yes.
Media.com. And and we had wearelir.com, and you fiddle around with it. Eventually you actually you have to settle on something.
You do eventually. But I think we've got very good, what I say, in the first year of officially operating as a company, we've received great support. We run 4 Facebook pages and an Instagram account, and between all of them, I think we've just over 13,000 people following us now.
Wow.
And we're up at, I think the last time I checked, we were up at 170,000 interactions a month. So that's all down to advertising, getting information out to the right people, etc., etc.
Now, Jason, how are you related to Judy? Are you her brother?
Judy Carmody?
Carmody.
No, I'm not. So Judy is my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yeah.
Oh, she's too young to be anyone's aunt.
Yeah. So my father's side, the Carmody side.
She's lovely. She was my boss in Neodata for many years.
Wow.
Yeah, and she was lovely. She always was lovely. And and she's in UL as well. So when I got into UL lecturing, I couldn't have had a nicer person, I suppose, kind of always there in the background. She arrived down to me with one of these containers that you put your water into, with the library on it, and it just made me feel that I had somebody there that actually.
That's great. She's worked in the library there, I'd say, geez, a long time now. I'd say she's there 20 years, possibly.
She's there since Neodata finished, anyway.
That's a long time ago now, yeah.
And well, Neodata finished on the 14th of May, 1994.
94, okay. So yeah, it's a great resource for Limerick, obviously, the university and the library.
Yeah.
It's brilliant that Limerick City has that,
Yeah.
It's a resource I've used myself over the years, a few times.
But Jason, you didn't dance.
I danced when I was younger, as we called it, set dancing, in Croon, in my local town.
Oh, that's where you're from?
Yeah, that's where I'm from originally. So, being honest with you, I didn't know my left foot from my right foot. And do I still know today? I'd probably say not, being honest with you.
So it kind of, I suppose, begs the question. what brought you into the Irish dancing costumes? Was it your children?
Um, I suppose I'll rewind a little bit, I suppose, back the years. My love of Irish dance had started back probably 12, 13 years ago, I'd say. But from the start, when I was younger, my sisters did Irish dancing.
Yeah.
Set dance, we'll call it. Now, there
Oh
was no
yeah.
competitions. There was no competitions at that time. I'm talking a long time ago.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
there was always an Irish dance dress. And I think my mum actually made one at one stage. She used to make the jumpers and stuff for the local school many years ago. She had the machine for making the jumpers. So she made
The jumpers. Hey, for anyone in America listening to this now, the jumper is a sweater. We call them jumpers here in Ireland.
Yeah. So my mum did that. I think she possibly made one or two Irish dance dresses back then. And it was always something I really, really loved. But there was no official school kind of close to us at that time. And my parents then, my mum worked nights as well, and my dad was busy. He worked during the day and then he came home and he had greyhounds. So that kept him busy. So we were always busy working at home, you know. But then later on with Patricia, we were living up in Northern Ireland, up in Derry. And
okay.
The kids, the younger kids at the time were doing Irish dancing.
Is Patricia from Derry?
Yes, she is. She's from Derry. So her, say, relations now, her sisters, children, I think it's her aunt has an Irish dance school in the north as well. Don't ask me her name now, I can't remember. But she had kind of a good background in the Irish dancing. So she had the kids put into an Ancogal setup up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the kids at the start picked up very basic steps. Then we decided to move to Limerick. I had an opportunity down here. And we sourced out a school, and reliably was told that Anthony Costello School was one of the best schools in Limerick. So that's where Molly Ann went initially, and Caitlin. And she spent a good few years there, and Anthony suggested then that Molly possibly needed a little bit more than what he could give at that time, because he had only a certain amount of classes. So then we moved to Linda Balhoven School.
Yeah, Linda.
Yeah, so we spent many years there with Linda and Brian, and
that's when Anthony Costello was he was kind of winding down from the
competition side. Yeah, exactly. So he said, look, Molly was a lovely little dancer. She had lovely feet. She might need a little bit more. And fair dues to Anthony now. Anthony's a good friend of mine. He needn't have said that to us at the time. Do you know what I mean? But he did. So we had many great years with Linda. And then last year, due to work commitments again, we had to move from Linda's. So we're now dancing with Anya Murphy in Killarney.
Do you know, I actually saw your photographs with Anya, and I was trying to think, wonder, they must, I didn't actually get the connection until now. I thought you might be friends or family or knew each other or whatever, but yeah, it's funny, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
I didn't get. She's great, Anya, as well.
Oh, Anya is.
You know what's great about Linda as well is the fact that she's so involved in the social aspect of it as well. It's not with Linda and with Anya. It's not all about the competition, and it is at the same time. But there's a great grounding in the fact that you can enjoy yourself. Certainly a party atmosphere with Linda at Linda Balls, I'd imagine.
Oh, definitely, Linda. We had many good trips with Linda and her husband Brian. Yeah.
I found a photograph of the two of them yesterday that I had taken when we were in Bunratty. They were actually guests at the time with Francis, Lord Rester, Francis Fleming. Yes. And they were at the table in Norrie Nolan, and I just happened to find it in a box, so I took a photograph of it and put it up on Facebook, and Brian said, "Oh my God, look how thin I was in it." It's terrible when you look at your size.
He's still looking really good for his age, you know, in all fairness.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, in all fairness. But Linda runs a really good dance school now. I have to say it's second to none, you know.
Yeah.
We found all our experiences with Linda, the kids love going there. It was heartbreaking to move from there, being honest with you.
But Anya's fabulous as well.
Anya's fabulous now. Since we were there, I think just about a year, and the kids have done really well now. They're loving it. Obviously, with the lockdown, it's a different story. You don't have the one-to-one kind of. But,
no. But how is lockdown affecting from your perspective, the perspective of a parent, stroke somebody involved in dancing? I mean, watching your child trying to come to terms with this. To me, I think it's all criminal. What's happening? It's just needless cruelty.
It is, in a way, right? The start of it initially, the first couple of months, I was like, geez, I have a lot of money in my pockets that I didn't realise that I actually had.
I'm the same. Money burns a hole in my pocket.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I can't get anyone to do anything in the house. Like, my ceiling came in on top of me, and I can't get anyone to actually fix it. And the money is bloody burning a hole in my pocket because I'm thinking, I've never had money for this length of time waiting for somebody to actually plaster my roof.
That is so true. And then from the perspective of the children, like, for the first couple of months, Molly-Ann and Ava now, they're our two dancers. Caitlin has gone off, and she's actually a world champion in she won some world championship in Tang Soo Do, like kind of karate stuff.
Yeah.
She was dancing with Linda initially. She was only doing it kind of for fun and for fitness, and but she went off doing the Tang Soo Do. That was her thing, and she's been very successful at it. So the two girls then doing the dancing initially with the lockdown.
But the dancing would have helped her with the Tang Soo Do.
Oh, it would, yeah, definitely.
Because it would have given her that grounding in discipline and in fitness.
Yes, correct. She's also doing it's like gymnastics, so the other girls do it as well. They all do that now as well. And swimming, they used to do swimming up to a couple of months ago. Obviously, that's all out the window at the moment, but they might get back to it again. But
do you think the children are, sorry for interrupting you, do you think the children are involved in almost too much nowadays? Do you think that COVID has probably dragged people back and said, just take a step back? Because I'm thinking, there was a time there when I was teaching dancing and that all the time, and you had children coming in and they were doing French, they were learning the piano, they were doing speech and drama, they were in GAA, they were Irish dancing. There wasn't a night and that they weren't penciled in for something. It was almost like you had to be a stage manager managing your children. It's 2:00 now, they've got to be at speech and drama. It's 4:00, they've got to be at piano. It's 6:00, oh, that's tea time. 7:00 is study, or your homework. And there was never a moment for children to actually find what they're really good at and stick at that. Stay at that. If it's French, stick at French and become the best you can be at French. Or if it's Irish dancing, be the best at Irish dancing.
Correct. So I know Molly-Ann now, my 15-year-old girl, she has a love for Irish dancing. That's her kind of thing. Ava, she's so small, she's only 7. She was 8 2 days ago. Yesterday.
The little one in the front.
Yeah. Yes, the little girl here in front of Patricia.
There.
Yeah. So she was 8 yesterday. So she goes through phases of loving Irish dancing. At the moment, she's going through that phase now because she's getting new steps and so on and so forth. And she loves getting new steps. So that's her love now at the moment. But because she's so small, she could decide, I want to go kickboxing or something. So what we do at that stage then is we would introduce her to kickboxing.
Absolutely. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, but they tend to come back to the Irish dancing always, might too, for some reason.
Yeah.
Just love it. Now Molly-Ann, my older girl who's 15, had a horrid year this year. She had an operation and a few bits and pieces, but she puts in the time, as well as Ava now, my little Ava. They put in a good bit of time every night. So what they do is this, Molly-Ann would study, and when she takes her break, then she'd do an hour of the dancing. she'd go out to the studio and she'd dance away. So we have a floor and all out there and mirrors and everything. So she'd dance away.
Fabulous.
And Ava, the same. Every night they do a bit. Every night they do a little bit.
You have to. And I don't think people actually realize, and this is why it's so particularly hard now with COVID, that we're not in Irish dancing being treated, I don't think, respectfully by our government.
I would agree with you completely.
Because, you know, I mean, almost like when you think that hurlers and GA and other athletics and all these sports are being treated with much more reverence than Irish dancing. And yet, I mean, the discipline that those children have and the discipline that's instilled in them by their teachers. Yeah. So, you know, it stands to reason that if they go into a classroom, they're going to be disciplined enough to stay away from their friends within the classroom, because it's taught to them from the earliest age to listen to their teacher.
Yeah, but all teachers have protocols in place. Like I've seen many schools putting up information online, and they've showed their studio, their doors, all the doors are open. They have social distancing in place. You know, they have pods of children. You know, and they have all the signage. You know, it's safer, in my opinion, than GA, rugby, or any of these sports.
Absolutely, there's no contact, but there never was. And this is why it's probably one of the only forms of dance that really exists without any social contact. Because from the very beginning, you're telling children, do not bump up against the dancer on the stage. Stay well away, because the danger is that the adjudicator could mark you down if they deem that you could have avoided the collision.
Exactly.
So maintain your own space on the floor, and they know that from the very outset. So I mean, there's some schools that are. I mean, Mary McCarthy was showing us. I saw her hall there one day on Facebook. You could have fitted easily 100 people into it.
Yeah, massive halls.
If not more in Cork. And she was only allowed 5.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's just insanity.
It's insanity. There should be like obviously there's certain protocols and guidelines to go by, and every dance school I know has abided by them, and they are doing it as well for the safety of the children consideration, because we have to make sure everyone's safe at the end of the day. But this what will I say? What the word I'm looking for? Victimization, maybe, or pushing dance schools into a certain, you know, bucket and saying, guys, you can't dance. So that's madness. That's like, our kids need to dance. They need to get out and do stuff.
Listen, in my view, there's a lot worse than COVID. I think depression, feelings of worthlessness, not knowing what to do with yourself, being separated from your friends, social isolation. That's far worse, and it's going to come back to haunt the government.
I think so in the long run. I know, like, from the health side of things, a lot of people are obviously, say, the cancer diagnosis there was shut down for nearly 7 months. That's going to be a massive problem in the next.
It's immoral. The whole thing is immoral. I mean, I just think we need to get on with our lives, and we need to be practical and sensible, and not rush to take the minute something comes or it comes on the market that purports to be, say, until we know 100% that it's safe.
True, that's the biggest worry I have personally.
It's mine as well, that people will start jumping in and taking things.
I personally, look, if it's something that we're told we have to do to save people's lives and so on and so forth, I probably will do it, as long as there's some assurance there that if something goes wrong or whatever, that, you know, we're covered or whatever. But I don't know, it's a hard one to decide. It's a hard one. Normally these medicines take like 7 or 8 years to validate.
America has come out with one now, and it will be out by the end of the year. And Britain is supposed to, Oxford has some online as well. But
Yeah,
I just worry about the speed of these.
like I've worked myself personally now, contracted into orthopedic companies, like one in Shannon called Zimmer, and from the validation point of view, to validate say a new extremity like a hip,
Yeah,
it can take, depending on the country you sell it to, it can take anywhere between 3 to 9 years to sell it into a certain market because there's so much paperwork and validation involved. We're talking about medicinal products here now that literally are injected into the body. It's something similar to a medical device,
yeah, yeah.
and they want to bring this out in 9 months to 12 months. I'd just be very
Well, I
skeptical.
suppose I think back on, two things in my life. When my mum was pregnant on me, she was being, thalidomide was being pushed on
Good,
her because she was very sick and she refused. And they
good on her.
kept on saying to her, it's safe and take it and blah, blah, blah. And she refused point blank. And she said, look, don't keep asking me. I'm not taking anything. And it was probably the most fortunate thing she did. On the other hand, I was in the UK, living in the UK, when the polio vaccine came out, and she got me vaccinated. And had she not, it was rampant at the time, and certainly here in Ireland, because the vaccine hadn't come out in Ireland, but it was out in England.
Yes.
And so I don't know whether it was fate or just pure luck that she actually made the right decision in both cases.
Yeah, that was some decisions there, being honest with you, especially the first decision, you know.
The first decision was,
Oh,
catastrophic.
catastrophic for people, yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely catastrophic.
Yeah.
And and when you're experiencing morning sickness and that, I suppose you take anything.
True, yeah, true. A lot of women did at the time, and sure their lives were ruined. Absolutely
And
ruined.
their children's lives,
Yeah.
which was
Sure.
worse. But what you were telling me there earlier, you went down the route of the costume making, or is it selling the
Yes.
costumes. It's an unusual route to take, but I can kind of see when your family are all starting to get involved in the
Yeah. I kind of go back there where that actually came from. So obviously, the need was there to buy costumes for my kids. Initially, I had bought secondhand costumes,
yeah,
and I was in that kind of market, and I bought them at kind of what let's say they weren't that cheap initially. The secondhand costumes,
yeah,
so I purchased them. The kids wore them for maybe 10 times, and then I had to sell them. So I found the process of selling them personally to be very expensive to do. It cost me a
yeah.
lot of money to try sell them, and at the end of the day, I had listed them somewhere with someone else, another company, and the charges that I were charged on one of the dresses was probably the same price the dress was worth. So I was like, there has to be a different way of doing this. So I did a little bit of market research. That's what I do. I'm project manager, kind of, and I did my research. I figured out what people kind of wanted, what the market was crying out for, and we decided after about a year of putting everything together and a project plan, a 5-year project plan initially, which we're still working to launch selling Irish dance dresses for people. So initially we've done it all at no cost whatsoever. So someone would give us their costume. We would take 50 or 60 photographs and we'd put it up on our Facebook pages. And we did all that at no cost, only until the dress sold, we had a commission on the dress. So there was no fees, no contract fees, no anything. Now I've invested a
Excellent.
lot. I've invested a lot of money now in the new website and another website to come. And I've only this weekend had to start charging a small fee to take dresses. So to list them on the sites at tenner and to take the dresses €20. So that'll cover everything, basically.
That's good. That's very
Yes.
good value.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
For people now at this present moment who are left with brand new dresses,
Correct.
just before COVID,
Yeah.
that would have bought brand new dresses and not been able to wear them because children grow so quickly. They only get a few months out of it, but it's still better value than when you look at dance genres like hip hop and that, where they have to have 4 or 5 costumes.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
And they're very expensive. And when I hear people saying, "Oh, the Irish dancing is very expensive," it's all relative. It's all relative. If you have your child in tennis, or you have your child in golf, or you have them in many other sports, you still have to travel with them. You have to buy all the gear, and the gear is expensive. Hurling, the hurleys can be expensive. The travel can be expensive for them. So it's all relative, I think.
Oh, it is. It is. And so far, we launched the business on the 10th of January officially this year. So our first year is coming up. And we've done really well. We've 13,000 people following us now on our pages in the first year. We've the last 5 weeks we sold over 40 dresses to the USA market, and that's all by pushing sales and getting out there. We've, as you can see the back of you there,
I was just going to say, how instrumental was the Irish Dancing magazine did you notice a spurt in sales since Denise with the Irish Dancing magazine featured you?
Yeah, we have. Denise and Terry.
Terry,
yeah. Terry mainly now, been back and forth with her 50 or 60 emails, and we had a few Zoom calls. So this is the start of quite a lot of stuff we're going to be doing with Irish Dance Magazine in the future.
Yeah, I think we're going to be doing something with Irish Dancing Magazine in the future as well, hopefully.
Yeah, they're a great outlet. They're a great outlet. So
Lord, Denise was on my show, and
yes.
and she's such a lovely person, and so like you now, so into Irish dancing, and she came in almost like you, I suppose, laterally into Irish dance, but she's doing Meet the Adjudicator with me.
I think I saw that somewhere.
Answer questions.
Yeah.
It's
That's
easier
great.
to actually ask the questions. In my case, I find it easier than answering questions.
Yeah, but she's a great team there. Denise is a great team. It's a great magazine. I've always personally read it. I've stacks of magazines out here. I do have the digital format and I do have the paper format. I still love the paper format coming in, especially the Christmas one. I have a day at Christmas where I sit down and I do nothing else, but I read my Irish Dancing magazine
I have. What was I going to say there? I'll think of it in a second. Now it just went.
Yeah, no problem. So they featured some of our dresses in the magazine. They put up a bit about us, a bit of background about me and Patricia. And yeah, it was lovely of them to put the feature bit in about the business, because I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that bit.
Weren't you? I thought the whole piece would have been about your business. No, it was about you. And
it was about the business. It was about the business and where it came from, where we started, kind of like what we're talking about now. So the business news section. Then we have an advert on the inside cover of the magazine for the Christmas one. So basically, that's going to get us seen in all the markets that we need to be seen in. So
she's a great girl. Both Terry and Denise, but they're great. I mean, to push this genre, this art form, as far as they have, and for as long as they have. They've given out vouchers if anyone is buying. So you might actually mention it in your website or whatever, if anyone wants to buy the Irish Dancing magazine or subscribe to the membership to get it regularly, if they quote Lear TV.
Yeah, I did see that as well. So I will put that on our page.
They get a percentage. They get a percentage off, and we get a percentage here at the station, which is very kind of her.
No, I will put that on our pages now, because we've been on.
We're struggling here to talk, like yourself now. We're only getting started. We're only getting started, really. And COVID put the kibosh, as we say, on us, in the sense
Uh,
that we were just about to get our equipment down, and we have this virtual reality set that makes us look like Fox News or CNN news station. Honestly, if you saw it, it's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, it's the same studio. It's just that it looks like all this big oval glass table
wow,
and windows behind us, all oval shape. But it's
sounds
all
amazing.
it's we haven't a clue how to work it yet.
Mm.
We've got to actually work out, but we bought that, and buying cameras and buying TVs and special lighting. The lighting we're using at the moment is temporary, which is why I
Yeah.
keep vanishing every now and again on the screen. But it's hard to get because I have big dreams for this station. Like yourself,
Same
do
as
you know,
myself. Yeah. Big dreams
small
for me.
pockets but big dreams.
Yeah, I what my dream, my big thing is to try do the right thing for people, to do the right thing for
Yeah,
people in the dance world with as little cost as possible to the people.
yeah,
Like I've invested now, I've built a studio out the back of my house here. It's just for the Irish dance dresses. I've put in a whole system inside there to keep the dresses at a certain temperature and humidity. I put in special lighting for photographing the dresses, and I bought a special camera, and I'm still being taught on how to use that camera, being honest with you. It's a really
yeah.
technical thing. And obviously now invested in the website. So I have a lot going on, but I'm setting myself up for when the return comes,
Well, yeah, well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put the money into it. We haven't made any money yet, would be perfectly frank. But COVID just ended, or COVID just started as we were, as I say, just getting
Yeah.
on our way. And we were forced to, I suppose, we were forced to be kind of, what's the word I'm looking, adventurous. And
Yeah.
one day I was looking at Zoom, and I said, I wonder how Zoom works. And I was sitting down, and I said to my business partner here, I said, Pat, I rang him up and I said, we should try Zoom and try getting the interviews out. And one by one, the Irish dancing interviews happened. David Gainey was my first. No,
Yeah,
Michael Dillon was my first, then David Gainey, and then it kind of,
you've
and
done
now
quite a
I
few.
kind of feel it's keeping people occupied, seeing the likes of you, who they might have got to know. Now they know about your business through Denise and Terry and through Lear,
It's
and
great.
other
It's great.
people, and we're all helping each other,
It's brilliant.
not
Absolutely
just, I
brilliant.
suppose, emotionally, but helping each other's businesses as well to keep
Correct. Yeah,
focused.
it's a brilliant outlay. Like I've watched quite a few of your interviews now, and it's like again, just trying to find the time now for me is difficult at the moment. But
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
do I do find a half an hour to an hour now and again to watch your interviews, and I find them intriguing to find out about people in the Irish dance world, especially.
You'd
You know,
never know about, you'd look at people at a fashion, you'd think, oh, they're a world champion teacher, or they've had 40, or in Danny Doherty's case, what, over 40 world champions. And you'd say, you wouldn't be able probably to see beyond their titles, or
true,
the fact that they're an Irish dancing teacher, but you don't know the story that brought them to dancing. The
true,
how, yeah, we all love Irish dancing, and that we have in common, but we've all had our own private journeys to
exactly.
where we are right now with COVID and everything, and
Yeah.
Irish dancing, and it's learning about that, because hopefully when we get out of this godforsaken situation, we'll be able to look at our colleagues and think, and see the humanity behind them, and not just the dancing teacher.
No, that is true, and I always have that perspective. Like obviously, I love dancing. Patricia loves it. We all love it in this family. But there's more to life than dancing.
Yeah,
When we're at a dancing event, it's serious. you have a job to do.
Very little now, to be honest with you, Jason, beyond
Yeah,
dancing. There was
true.
never anything beyond dancing for me growing up.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
my, it was just my oxygen growing
yeah,
up.
true,
Being an
true.
only child, Jason,
Yeah,
and always being around my mother. It was my place where I could be around people my own age and
it was
where
fun.
I could do what I wanted to do,
Yeah,
because when I was in England, it was ballet. And there was no ballet here at the time when I came home until Joan Denise Moriarty came to Cork. And you know, so it was Irish dancing I took up here. But um, when you're a creative child, you have to, you know, dancing is like or the arts is like your oxygen, and that's what it was to me.
yeah.
Nothing, everything, my life went by, and I look back now and I think, God, all the things that I could have done, but instead I was dancing in Bunratty or wherever,
Yeah,
and
but
everyone else got married and met people, and I was dancing 7 nights a week.
yeah, Jesus. But look, that was
You
your
didn't
thing.
feel it at the time.
Yeah, true, true. I wish when I was younger that, I had the ability possibly to progress what I kind of loved when I was younger. But uh, the last maybe 12, 13 years, I've enjoyed it, immensely. Now I'm involved in it quite a lot from a business perspective now. I talk to many people every week, in
Yeah.
relation to every kind of a thing dance related, So I'm on the ground and I'm listening to what's going on. I suppose there's only dancing now really in America at the moment,
Yeah.
obviously. But I'm hoping it'll come back. I'm reckoning in the new year. Hopefully, we might get back out here in Ireland again, because we need to get out doing something again.
Well, as I say, Jason, there's a lot apart from the statistics. There's 99.8% um, uh, recovery rate from COVID. People who've had COVID, most of them recover, but you know, and most of them have mild symptoms. But what I worry about is the underlying effects of all of this, the
Right.
depression, the
That's,
the inability for. I mean, if you have a child or somebody who's on the borders of depression, um, being socially isolated from the only people who maybe are their lifeline
yeah,
is
it's difficult.
catastrophic.
And the mental health services in Ireland, I have to say, from knowing quite a few people that use the services, most of them would say like it's not great. It's not great in Ireland. Whereas I speak to my friends in Canada and even America,
Yeah.
and they, like, especially the Canadians, they would say their mental health services is second to none. They would praise it to the last. I don't know why we can't get to that place here in Ireland. I'm not too sure. A lot of the times I hear there's not enough doctors, there's not enough consultants, there's not enough people trained. But the Irish government have to change their mindset and keep people in this country.
Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. We're educating the top people to leave our country and
Correct.
go out to other countries, because we'd rather pay the governments and our politicians rises rather than paying people to actually stay in this country, giving them the incentive to stay. I mean, it's just beggars belief the amount of talent that's actually leaving this country.
Yeah, quite a
I
lot.
mean, another thing that worries me, Jason, is the fact that there's so many people with children with special needs, children who need one-to-one tuition, or SNAs,
Yeah,
to actually keep them going. It's all very well and good saying the children should be, um, as a lecturer myself, albeit part-time, it's all very well and good telling somebody um, who's able to for online education to avail of it. But the child that already finds it difficult alone in a classroom to actually keep up with studies, or somebody whose parents need respite
Yeah.
during the day and they can't find the respite, or
It's not there.
somebody living with an abusive wife or husband.
Yeah.
Do you know all these
Yeah,
elements?
it's all a kind of a accumulation of things. I do know from the SNA side now, do you know, my little fella Tiernan did receive an SNA when he was smaller. No, it was hard fought, being honest with you, for it.
Yeah,
Um, and literally straight away it was like a light switch. We were doing the best that we could here, but the SNA was with him through school then for 4 years. He's now in secondary school and he's probably top of his year. He's
yeah.
doing
It
really well.
just means that some children just take that little bit longer to
Correct.
just uh, I suppose what's the word I'm looking for? Get off
Flourish,
the
maybe.
starter block. Get off the
Yeah,
starter block.
correct.
But the race is not always to the swiftest. Some children might be slower at starting off, but they'll remember longer,
Yeah, true, true.
and
I,
they have
I,
better memories.
I find as I get older now, my memory is not as good as what it was when I was younger. But yeah, no, that is true. That is true now. Um, but they all manage well now. Like Molly Ann there now, she study away at night and her results are good. And Caitlin and Tiernan. So the others then are small, so they're only coming up through primary school.
I
Um,
could never. I loved school, but I could never. I mean, as I say, my world was dancing, and I was always daydreaming. And the teachers in school used to say to my mother, Mrs. Honan, Mary could be very, very good if she only stopped looking out the window and counting the leaves on the trees. Because I'd be making up steps, I'd be
yeah,
daydreaming, and I'd be in another world, and a total other world, and languages and all that would have been my thing, and English and history, but not maths. Oh, I'd have eaten it, maths.
yeah. I'm maths. I love maths. Maths is my thing.
Oh God, I'd have
Maths,
eaten it before I'd have done it.
maths, business, and anything technical is my thing.
Business organization, I
Yeah,
was good at,
yeah,
strangely, but not maths. I
yeah.
convinced myself I was going to be hopeless at maths, and I actually proved myself right.
Yeah, so maths, project plan, and business kind of technical stuff. That's what I like. So then the languages like Irish, French, German, and stuff. I was okay at them. I never was really, especially Irish. I struggled at Irish for
I
some reason.
struggled at Irish.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think
I do. It's the way they taught it to us,
quite
Jason.
possibly. Yeah, quite
I mean,
possibly.
we have got the most, I think, singularly, the worst education system for teaching Irish,
I think
because
so. 'Cause I can
because
speak better French than
yeah,
Irish.
I speak better French. I mean,
Mm.
I have a friend, he's a colleague here in the station, Dirk Decline, and Dirk speaks 5 languages. He's Dutch, but they grow up speaking. They speak Swedish, and they speak Dutch, and they speak German and French and English, and I mean, he speaks English as good as any English person, and worse still, he understands our humor. Do you know, he actually
Mm.
tells jokes, which is very difficult. I mean, my dad was English, and he'd try to explain jokes to my mom, and she'd say, "Oh, I'll have to hear it." But Dirk can tell a joke with an Irish sense of humor,
Yeah,
and that
that's
I think is
amazing.
extraordinary.
Amazing. Like I worked all over Europe now, contracting over the years, and I could concur with that. Like I could be in Belgium or Germany or somewhere, and most of the people would speak English. Now some of them
Yeah,
great, okay, and others like you'd be like, "Geez, are you actually in Ireland here? They can speak so well."
yeah, yeah.
And the reverse of that, in our native language in Ireland, you'd struggle to find people that could speak any bit of Irish.
But it's because, as I say, what we're doing wrong is, I fully believe that every child in this country, it might be controversial, but I think every child going through the Irish education system in this country should be doing it in Irish up to secondary school, after that they can choose. But I certainly think up to secondary school it should be all Irish, and then when they come home during the day they can speak English at home if they want to
Correct.
with their parents.
I
But
agree.
children are sponges, and if they learn it through a dialectic sense rather than the grammar and the Mo Kenealach and the I'm sure Kata and the I'm sure Lorach and all that, you know, Jesus, you get so bogged down in grammar that you're
True.
thinking so hard and am I putting it into the past tense or the present or the future?
But my perspective on that is it should be natural for children.
It should be natural, and it should be told through showing them cartoons, showing them movies, playing games, all in Irish.
Correct. So what I would say to that, my perspective on that in schools, they should teach even an hour or two a day just in Irish.
Yeah.
So small kids, as you say, they're sponges.
I think they should be completely in Irish, every class, because I see my friends' children who are Arab, they're Muslim, they're from Libya, and I see them going to school here now, and they're picking up, I mean, they have Arabic, they have English, they have Irish. They're sponges at that age. And you know, I just think that, you know, the best way is to just throw children in the deep end, let them learn it through fun.
Well, we always had a French au pair live with us up to 2 years ago.
Oh, that was a good idea.
Every summer. And there was one German girl, because we wanted to see, did the kids take to German? So they used to do a small bit of the languages with the kids. But all the kids took to the French. So all my kids now, except for Caitlin possibly, but all the rest of them have a small bit of French. And it's helped them. It's helped them immensely. Yeah. It's helped them in school as well, because we were speaking it. So some days then we'd sit down and we'd just try to speak French at dinner time, you know, and it was fun now. It was fun, you know.
You're a great father, Jason.
Oh,
you really are very family orientated.
We are. I'd love to be able to do more with the kids, but we do quite a lot. You know, we love our dance weekends away, and I'm going to still have them in the future, business or no business. That's going to be our weekend away.
Yeah.
You know,
isn't it a great life when you think about it? I mean, nowadays you can travel to America, Australia, New Zealand, all over for competitions. It is expensive. I mean, I worry that that some really good children are missing out because their families can't afford.
Correct. I agree.
And I think that a limit has to be put in some respect. Because there are some really extraordinary children who are slipping through the net because of inability to keep up financially.
Look, I just see in the last year, especially the price of costumes is reducing, and all the designers are reducing their prices. They're coming out with different types of dresses now that are kind of like you order them online kind of thing. There's a few of them, I won't mention names now.
Yeah, I know.
They are looking at trying to be more cost competitive, which is great. And my whole project plan when I set out the business was, how can I keep more money in the sellers and the buyers' pockets to make the dresses more reachable to the masses, obviously cheaper. So it has worked out well for me now personally in the last year with that project plan. But that is reducing the price of dresses, you know, just enough where some people can just afford them, you know.
Yeah.
But there's great choices now for second-hand dresses in the Irish dance world. There's loads of them there, you know. There's loads of them there.
Yeah, but I mean, they're difficult, I would imagine. The market is difficult here in Ireland, probably at the moment.
It's not here at all.
Non-existent at all.
Non-existent, yeah.
But you're just lucky, really, fortuitous in the fact that you have the American market after opening up.
Yeah, it's lucky. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't be in business. Because as a business, you have to make some profit. And if you
Australia has opened up as well. Do you sell much to Australia?
Yeah, we've sold a few dresses to Australia now in the last while, and we sold one to Taiwan. and yeah, another one to one or two to Canada because they're thinking of opening up again. But there's 3 Oireachtases supposedly happening. They had the Oireachtas there in Australia last week.
Yeah.
And then there's 3 Oireachtas. There's one this weekend, the Southern Region Oireachtas in the States. And then there's 3 planned for the end of January in the States. But I was talking to a lady last night who was thinking about purchasing a dress. Another lady purchased a dress off me last night. The other lady saying she's going to wait a couple of weeks. She's picked out the dress. She's going to wait a couple of weeks to see what happens because of Biden and Trump and all this kind of stuff. Whether they're actually going to happen at all in January. But
Well, if Trump gets through, then it will happen because America will open up. If Biden gets through, then everything will be shut down.
I think so, yeah, I think so. And a few states are already shutting down, I think.
Do you know, which is a pity. One would hate to see. I just, it's just so stressful with all the closing and opening and closing and opening and closing and opening.
Yeah, but we've set ourselves
up. If they said to you, Jason, close down for 6 months, and you're open. I mean, yeah. I went as a child. My dad used to live in England, and I lived here with my mum until I was 14. So I only saw Daddy once a year, and then foot and mouth came in the 70s, and he couldn't come. So I didn't see him for 2 years. So I understand what it's like to be locked down from something, or even as a child, and on a child's level that your rationale for it is, I'm not going to see my father. Do you know?
Yeah, that's the rationale.
Can you imagine what it must be like for children now who are not our families not able to see their? I mean, Pat here in the station, he has hardly seen his mother.
My mum and dad,
because she's in a nursing home.
My mum and dad, thank God, are still alive and they're still living at home in
Crewe. And they're 91 and 1991.
But I have visited them only from outside in the road or the yard. I've taken over food now and again and left it.
Come on, that's all. It's all just like it's all.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I haven't been inside in my family home now in 10 months, probably 10 or 11 months. But look, do you understand that my dad had a quadruple bypass up in the Mappin Hospital there going back 7 months ago. So he was in the high risk category. We were very conscious, of I could have been asymptomatic and I didn't want to go anywhere near him just in case, and my mum. So it is hard from that perspective, but at least we still see them and talk to them and we have communication. I talk to my parents every couple of times a week on the phone, on a video call, and they talk to all the kids as well, So
they're able to use Zoom?
She uses WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Yeah. No, my dad wouldn't be able to, but my mum does, yeah.
Well, technology is great, I mean, can you imagine what this would have been like even in the 90s, 80s, when we didn't have this technology that you couldn't actually physically see.
Yeah, the Spanish flu at the time, going back probably 80 years ago, I suppose. Sure.
Can you imagine what it must have been like?
Can you imagine? It was like told to stay in and that was it, kind of thing. If you went out, you were going to get sick and you're going to die, and you're definitely going to die. Back then, that's what it was. But I think that was down to the water and stuff that time, and stuff that was in the water. But this is kind of a different one with regards to it, because everyone flies everywhere and the whole world is so mobile.
Yeah.
If it wasn't so mobile, it could have been confined somewhere, possibly.
So where do you see Irish dance to impress in the future? You obviously have a 5-year plan.
I do. I'm working my way up to hopefully everybody in the dance world knowing about me, number one. At the moment, I'm still working on that. There's quite a lot of work to do there. Some people that would contact me and say, oh my God, I never even seen your site, and it was a friend of mine that taught me. Even in Ireland still, there's some people that don't.
Word of mouth. It's
word of mouth. Yeah. So
And
within
maybe, hopefully, this show will have pay some bit. And Moretz, or what did I say? The Irish
Denise,
Dance
yeah,
magazine, Denise and Terry.
yeah, I think that's
Um,
going to help immensely. I think,
yeah, it had to have.
and yeah, so and in 5 years' time, I hope that the company is successful enough that instead of having part-time employees, we can have full-time employees, and we might have a bigger studio or whatever. Who knows? You know, we'll see how it goes. You know,
I suppose, who am I to tell anyone? But I saw a guy yesterday on. It is only what I only watched it for about, I suppose, 10 minutes, but long enough to hear him say he's a millionaire now. And he was saying that his mother always advised him to start small,
yeah,
because it was actually, he was in business, but he liked the health industry, and he went into fitness and opened up a gym, and he stayed for a long time quite small in the gym. And we can't be as small as we are. We're down in a basement in a Georgian house in Mallow Street in Limerick, and like it's one room is our main studio will be big,
yes,
double the size of the room that I'm in now, but this is our green room. But all we have in it is a couch and a fridge and things like
basics.
that, and thing. But the idea is stay small for as long as you can, and just
Correct.
grow slowly. Don't try to grow too big too quickly.
No, yeah, you're right. And my business plan initially, when I wrote it and when I reviewed it, I got someone else to review it for me. They were like, no, 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 wait a minute. This is going to cost you an arm and a leg, and you won't be in business after 2 years.
Yeah,
So I've gone and got advice. I've a very good business partner, and they are involved in the business side of things already for years.
yeah,
So they've given me great advice. So what I have been doing is any profits I've made, I've been investing them back in. And that's what I've been doing this year. And then next year and the year after, start taking profits from it.
yeah,
If it keeps growing,
yeah.
hopefully, hopefully we're back dancing and things will take off. But a lot of people that have heard about us and know about us have liked what we're doing, So
Yeah.
it's very positive so far, so good,
Yeah, well, we're at the moment, trying to get people to subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Yes,
which is LIR Media. It's Lir Media, LIR Media.tv, or actually it's just LIR Media TV, is our YouTube. And if we can get people to click the like button and subscribe to us, it's free of charge. We're trying to reach, I suppose our initial aim is to reach 1,000 subscribers.
yeah,
Subscribers, because we're hoping to be, by January, we're hoping to be on FM. So we'll be, but the way FM works is it gives you, initially, I think it's 90 days, and that's it. So however you use the 90 days,
right.
they're allocated. And then once they're up, you can't get another for the following year.
Oh,
It's ridiculous. It's quite simply insane. You get 90 days, and if you use the 90 days up entirely, you have the rest of the year that you can't go on it until again January of the following year. So
that
you're only
doesn't
getting
make sense.
the most 90 days, and then gradually it works up to 10 years and all that. So
Yeah.
but I suppose my passion side of it would be for the international market, because I think that we can be. I think I see there being progressing outside of Ireland quicker than I do it progressing, say, in, because we've so many stations in this country.
I agree.
Anyway.
I agree, and my project plan is something similar.
Yeah.
There's 360 million people in the United States alone.
Yeah.
there's 4.5 million people in Ireland.
Yeah.
So you multiply that, that's a lot more people in the United States.
Yeah.
There's a lot more Irish dancers in the United States
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
there is in Ireland, UK combined, and Europe.
Yeah.
So that is, my biggest market.
Yeah, I suppose ours would be, I mean, I'm aiming at the diaspora, the Irish abroad, and
Yeah, true.
I suppose the
Yeah.
Irish dancers abroad, and and in Ireland, of course, but there's so much, it's such a small country, and I just think that there's a lot of people who've left Ireland who are very, very homesick and want a sense of home and to listen to an Irish accent.
Yeah.
For even an hour in the day that will help them to get through that initial progress.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant what you're doing, and that alone, if it reaches one person out there that wants to hear a voice from home, diaspora, it's brilliant. It has achieved.
Well, my mother lived in England, hated. She loved the English people. It wasn't home. The rain didn't fall the same, she used to say, and the clothes didn't dry the same. And and I know that if she was involved in Irish dancing before she had me or anything, she would have had that sense of Irishness around her. But she was around everybody that was either Welsh or English, and
I see.
And there was no sense of home. She had lost everything.
Yeah.
And she was an only child as well, and she had lost every sense of Irishness when she had gone there. So
well, I can concur with that now, because I worked in England quite a lot, and I worked for a company in London. So I used to fly over on a Sunday night. I used to get up here at 2:15 in the morning, and I used to drive to Shannon or Dublin, wherever it was. And I used to be in London, get to hire a car, and I'd be in the office at 8:30 on Monday morning in London.
Yeah.
And then I used to stay in London for the week and come home at the weekend. So I did that for many years. But I got to know the way of life in England.
But you had a job. She was in the house all day long.
Oh,
not another Irish voice around her.
Oh.
And and if she could have had the radio on or a Zoom on and listened to an Irish accent or sense of humour, she would have been able to feel, I'm at home. And it's the same like when Jackie O'Leary, who I interviewed a few years ago on my radio show when it was radio, and she was just after moving to Canada, and she was heartbroken. She really wasn't coping. She just was so homesick. And then after a few months, she had really settled in. But what settled her in was the fact that she was within an Irish dancing community in Canada. So when she was at a feis in Canada, she could have been at a feis in Ireland. Once you're indoors and you're seeing Irish dancers and you're listening to Irish music, you're still involved in that Irishness, no matter where you are.
And looking at the America, there's 360 million people in America. 40 million of them write down on the census forms in America that they are Irish. So that's a massive amount of people in America.
That's right.
So there is your biggest market straight away. It's 5 times the size of Ireland,
Yeah.
Look, and as I say, I wouldn't be doing this, or we wouldn't be doing this only for the love of Irish dancing. It's brought us to a happy place.
It's a funny little world, isn't it, Irish dancing?
Funny little world, yeah. And I love it. I'd sit down and I'd watch Irish dancing all day long. I absolutely crave it. I love it. And I miss it now. It's
addictive. It's addictive.
You
can go, I think people will go insane when Festina starts up again. And I couldn't run my fesh this year, but please God, next year, you should give me a buzz, talk about having a stand at it.
Oh yeah. I've been contacted by quite a lot of people that want me to attend the feshes. So that's something we will do. But my perspective on that now, with really good dresses and stuff, as well as manhandling dresses all the time in and out of cars and stuff.
Yeah.
I might try do a couple of feshes a month or something, but I don't want to be doing like 2 or 3 every weekend kind of thing. That's not what I want to do. But we will. Anyone that invites us.
Do it via Zoom.
Yeah, quite
Have
possible.
an open Zoom and people come over and talk to you.
Jeez.
You can do it from
Well,
your sitting
I,
room.
I have another idea where, yeah, it's something in my project plan for next year. That is something that would have never been seen before in the Irish dancing world. And hopefully, if that comes together now, it'll be a transition change for selling dresses. But that's something down the line. It might not happen next year. It might be a couple of years' time. Who knows? But depending
It'll
on how
happen when
things
it
go.
happens.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully the dancing comes back because I'm craving for it at this stage now. I need to have it. But look, we have the kids. I have the kids here at home every night. They're out in the studio, and then they come in here, and Ava then shows me her steps, and Molly Ann then shows me her steps nearly every night. You know, so it's great. It's great. We have that.
Well, Jason, it was absolutely fabulous talking to you. And the time flew.
It did, Mary. It did. It did. No,
An
in all
hour and
fairness.
10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And
Just
thank you. Thank
no,
you for
you're
giving me
very
this
welcome.
opportunity. Yeah.
No, I mean that's what we're there for, to help each other out, you know,
Yeah.
and to you know, keep the businesses going in the interim period until we can all get back, and hopefully people will actually smile at each other and
Exactly.
and be nice to each other, and
It's going to happen. It's going to
and
happen.
see each other beyond our jobs, or beyond
True.
our status within Irish dancing. You know, if somebody, you know, some who have these phenomenal backgrounds in competition. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and
Correct.
we all feel the same about this wonderful, crazy world of Irish dancing.
We do. And then we only live one life, and we have to enjoy it. And no matter what, people would say, you know, business is business at the end of the day, you know, life is life, but we have to enjoy it.
We have to enjoy it.
And if you're not enjoying it and you don't want to do it, don't be in it. That's what my perspective is, you know.
It's the same with everything, you know. They say when you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Correct. And I don't consider this working at all. So,
would you give up your other job now for that? Or do you like having the both?
I like having, because I love the engineering side of things, and that's you know, I don't think I'd ever give that up, even if this business was really, really, really successful. It's doing well at the moment. It's keeping Patricia busy, and the two other girls that are coming in part-time.
As if she's not busy enough with 5 children.
Correct. So, to be careful here now.
You're digging.
Yeah, so when the kids are in school and the baby is in the crash, she does a lot of her work in the morning, and she gets a bit of a help as well. So, and then I bunch in the afternoon, the evening as well, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Jason.
So.
Well, Jason, thank you very, very much for coming on, be my guest.
And thank you, Mary. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and continued success to you and your family. And we'll have you on again in the future, and you'll be hugely successful. Next time we have you on, you'll be a millionaire.
Well, you never know. I doubt it. You never know.
Hopefully we'll both be a success, our station and your business.
We're kind of similar, Mary. You know,
Yeah, I think actually the Irish Dancing magazine, what you're doing and what we're doing, I think there's, you know, there are 3 different areas of them, and Moretton Dance City, all of those sort of businesses, they're all the same thing, trying to show Irish dancing through a different media.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think so. I think so.
So until we talk again, Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
But that's the end of the program for today. Until the same time, next time. This was Be My Guest with me, Mary Honan, supporting the Samaritans as always, Limerick and Tipperary. Good day, Ship Slán. Slán.
Slán.